Hey there, Bible buddies. I've got another Bible review for you today, and this one is the Crossway ESV Single Column Heritage Bible in their black TruTone. Now, I was super stoked to hear about this one. I've always been wanting a copy of the Heritage Edition. However, all the special editions that they have released so far of this edition have been quite pricey. So when they said that they were going to release a more value version of this, I was super excited to get my hands on one. Thankfully, my wife bought me one for Valentine's Day, so I figured I would review it for you guys. And I haven't seen very many of the black editions out there, so we'll go ahead and get through it and enjoy it together. So I'll go ahead and show you guys the slipcase here. It is a slipcase, just Bible hides in there. Kind of flimsy as far as slipcases go. But again, this is a value edition, so you'll probably hear me saying that a lot. It's a value edition, so we have to kind of give some flexibility and leeway there. But there's the front cover. On the top, we have a little bit of information there, and I'll try and get it to where it doesn't blind you guys with the glare. It's a high gloss finish on this box cover. On the back, we have a little bit of information there. You guys can pause it if you want to read it. There we are, and on the bottom we have the ISBN number and a little bit more additional information. So yeah, little slipcase. The Bible comes in. Now, right off the bat, the first thing I want to say is that this Bible does have a very strong smell. If you are the type of person who is sensitive to like strong smells, you might want to let this one air out for a little bit, and it's kind of a production smell. So it kind of smells of glue, and the paper has a very strong smell to it, and then a little bit of kind of the faux leather cover there. It might just be because this is new, this edition just came out, and I just got this one, so maybe it hasn't time to kind of air out on its own. But if you are sensitive to smells, I might recommend, again, leaving this kind of to the side for a few days to air out and let the scents linger off, as the case may be. So we'll go and take a look at the leather cover here. It is obviously a faux leather, fake leather, and it is a very fine grain, and it's very mild. It almost feels like a smooth cover. There's a little bit of texture to it to kind of keep it in your hand, but not very much. So if it gets wet, it might slide out pretty easily. So be careful of that. Be cautious of that. Now, it does have perimeter stitching around the edge. You can see there. And that continues on the spine. We also have Holy Bible ESV logo, English Standard Version, and then Crossway on the bottom there. And these are rib indications. They're just printed on. They're not imprinted or raised or anything like that. There's 4 of them. On the back, we have a continuation of that faux grain and the perimeter stitching. And then on the bottom corner, we have TruTone indicated and the ISBN number. And the other external features we have are a black head and tail band, and then a single black ribbon, a nice gold gilt there. Now, if you notice there, it's a little bit dinged up, and again, value edition, so I'm going to let this slide. I got no hard feelings about that on a value edition, certainly. But the reason that it's dinged up is when they ship it, or at least the way mine came, it was kind of slid into the slipcase this way. So obviously there's a risk there associated with that. I usually tend to store my Bibles if they're in a slipcase in this manner, so that way if anything gets hit, it's going to be the spine of the Bible, and that won't take any more damage. But you do have to be careful when sliding it in, because there's a risk that you're going to like jam it right into the edge of the pages. So assuming you're careful, that might do you better. I like putting this edge out again to prevent damage, and then also it keeps dust off the page edges too. So you do have one single ribbon. It's just a black ribbon, and it's single-sided satin. Nothing crazy, kind of the standard Crossway deal, kind of thin and narrow. We'll go ahead and get into it, and it's just a black paper paste down, matte paper. Do have some nice corner work there. And this black kind of end sheet's a little on the thinner side, so it's not like a super heavy duty construction. We'll get into it. We have a couple end sheets here of matte paper, and we have our Holy Bible presentation page, marriages page, births and adoptions, and then our deaths page. Now, one thing that they changed the direction on with these, which I'm really happy about, is they made them out of a matte cardstock, so it's actually easy to write on now. You don't have to be so finicky about what kind of ink you're going to use on it. It's a nice matte paper, so it'll be easy to write on. We have our title page, our secondary title page, our copyright page. I'll go ahead and hold this up for you guys if you want to read it. It's the 2016 text of the ESV. And as we can see in the bottom here, it is the first printing of 2023, and it was printed by R. Donnelly & Sons out of China. So just for your information there. And the table of contents on the opposite side. In the reverse, we have the alphabetical order of the books of the Bible, and then our preface to the ESV. After the few pages of the preface there, we have an explanation of the features included in this Bible. We have our Old Testament title page. And Genesis. And I'll show you guys the text. It's a lovely text and a lovely layout. Such a fan of this. We'll flip a page over just so we can get a general feel for it. All right, so the features that we have, on the outer corners, on the left we have the book, chapter, and beginning verse number. On the right we have the book, chapter, and ending verse number. We have our page numbers in the gutter up at the top, and then we just have footnotes across the bottom, fairly small. I'll zoom in a second for you guys to see that. But obviously it's a single column paragraph layout. It's very conducive to being just like a reader, which we would consider like a reading Bible. We do have kind of some running headers here throughout the text. You can see some paragraph formatting there, or some, poetic formatting there. And then we also have a double line numeral indicating the beginning of a chapter. I'll go ahead and show you guys those footnotes. Down there, they're fairly small. We'll flip a few pages in so you can see a little bit. Let me show you, let me go ahead and actually, we'll come in here a little bit. But let's go ahead and take a look at the verse numbers. So the verse numbers are one thing that kind of stood out to me in the sense that they didn't really stand out to me. So you can see them kind of here scattered throughout, but they are a little bit hard to pick up. I don't know if this is going to make it easy to use in a church service or anything like that. I was hoping to use this one as my church Bible, but I'll have to check and see how easy it's going to be to follow along with these smaller verses. It might be easy enough for me because my pastor tends to take verses in paragraphs, so it should be easy enough to kind of see the first one sticking out there. But these numbers are definitely much more conducive to being a reader's edition. They're very low-key and they stand out very, very minimally. Now, as far as the opacity goes, we'll take a look here. It is line matched, so it does match up very nicely. There's no issues there. And you can see that there is a little bit of show through. And that's pretty accurate what I'm seeing on camera to what I'm seeing in person. So that's fairly accurate there. Now, one thing to note is that this paper, certainly, obviously it's a Chinese paper. It's not going to be the same as, say, what you would find in a Cambridge edition or a Schuyler or anything like that by any means. It definitely has the very first thing that I've noticed, and I've heard a few other people say this, is that the texture of the paper is somewhat rough. And I would agree with that. It's not like a trade paperback, that kind of rough, but it definitely has some grippy texture to it. And I prefer that because it makes it easier just to turn a page, a single page at a time. I often struggle with Schuyler's 28 GSM because it's very smooth and it's very thin. So it makes it harder for me to turn the pages. This I don't mind. Yes, is there a little bit more show through than like a premium paper? Yeah, of course, but it's not very much more show through. And I'm certainly willing to trade off the amount of show through that it has for just the ability to flip through the pages quickly, especially if it's going to be a Bible that I take to church, and you got to flip through it kind of quick as the pastor is going. So I'd much rather have like a kind of a paper with a little bit more of a texture to it to where it's easier to turn. Now we'll look at Psalm 119 here. And you can see that they do not include the Hebrew letters. They just have the kind of the transliteration there for them. Show a little bit more of the show through there. Again, it is minimal, especially considering that it's a value edition. I think on Christian Book, if I haven't said this already, I think on Christian Book, it's less than $35. So I would definitely recommend buying it sooner rather than later, because I've noticed with Christian Book, over time the price will increase. So eventually this will probably be a $50 Bible on Christian Book, and maybe you can pick it up elsewhere, maybe Westminster bookstores or something like that, or on Crossway during their Christmas sale. I would imagine this will be a popular one. So maybe next year they'll offer it on their Christmas sale. But buy it sooner rather than later if you're interested in it, right? Why wait for $35, So let's go ahead and flip forward. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else. Oh, the coloration of the paper is great also as well. There's no real, there's no blue cast. It's certainly definitely not a blue colored paper. I would say it's probably like an eggshell kind of color. It's a very very, very subtly yellow, very light yellow kind of coloration to it, but very, very mild. A little more closer to the white side of things. But certainly a very nice paper, again, considering it's a value edition. Let's go ahead and get to the New Testament. So there we have the end of the Old Testament on the New Testament title page. You have the Gospel according to Matthew. I'll turn a few pages in there. And we'll see that it is definitely black letter text. And then we'll keep going to the end, and we'll take a look and see what they got. Man, it's such a wonderful layout. I love it. I was so excited that this was going to come out when I heard it. So here we have the end of Revelation, and then there's a blank sheet. On the opposite side, we have table of weights and measures and monetary units. And then we just have a blank sheet of a couple blank sheets here, a few blank sheets of just normal Bible paper. 4 sheets of normal Bible paper, which is great for notes if you want to take some. And then we have our maps. And the awesome thing about these maps is that they also did these in a matte paper. So it's great, really, if you want to mark these up. Again, no hesitation on what pen you're going to use. Let me show you these. There's no hesitation on the pen you want to use. You can just get to marking them up if you're so inclined to do so. But at least there's no glare, and you can see like the reflection of my lights overhead, and there's nothing here, which is awesome. That was a great move on their part. So some wonderful maps there. Not very many in the back, but just enough, right? Just enough to keep it going. And you just have your flyleaf there right at the end. It kind of wraps up. So I don't know how rebinds would go. You don't have very many extra sheets here, so maybe one rebind would be about all you get out of this. Or if you have a very delicate rebinder, I'm sure you could work with it, or she could work with it. So yeah, it's a pretty awesome edition. I'm not gonna lie. Let's go ahead and get some measurements here. I'll get you guys on your way. So this one comes in at 8 5/8 of an inch tall by just under 6 inches wide and about 1 3/4 inches thick. Let's take a look at those fonts, shall we? I'll start with the uppercase, over the I and its. And in comparison to Times New Roman, it's about a 9 point for the uppercase. And we'll do the N and understand. Looks a little bit bigger, thankfully. So for the lowercase letters, it looks to be about a 10 point font versus Times New Roman. So I always go with the lowercase letters because there's more of them. So I would say that this is a 10 point font versus Times New Roman. So certainly a very easy text to read. Certainly an exquisite layout. They really just did a great job with this, knocked it out of the park, as the saying goes. But definitely you have some nice wide margins here. Not like super wide, obviously, but let's get a measurement. Not that I measure this very often, but it's like 7/8 of an inch. So if you need to take some little notes on the sides, you can. But it's just a wonderful single column paragraph edition, perfect for reading. Maybe if I take it to church and use it and abuse it, I'll let you guys know how it goes in a church setting. But I would imagine it's going to be just most excellent and certainly a wonderful reading experience. So Bible Buddies, if you're interested in this one, obviously I'm not going to sell you this one. It's a brand new Bible that just came out. But I'll put some links down below for you guys if you're interested in purchasing one. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please, Bible Buddies, feel free to do so. Otherwise, Bible Buddies, bye.